Welcome back, cave dwellers. I'm Nick, and this is RaMcHIP's Tech Cave. So it's been a week. I know I'm a little bit overdue to post a video. My goal's doing one a week and keep you guys up to date what's been going on. But this past week has been very eventful and very stressful. I've done a lot of work on the network attached storage, but I had a bad drive, and that bad drive was just one of many issues that I ran through. And a lot of people don't tell you this on their tutorials of installing TrueNAS or setting up for a TrueNAS build. So I'm going to be, transparent with everything that I ran through so that way people can actually work through this kind of thing and not have, get discouraged. First off, I want to thank Tim, Will, and Tyrannosaurus West at the TrueNAS Discord server because they helped me a lot through most of my problems here. And when I was getting discouraged and ready to give up, Tim kicked me in the balls and told me to suck it up and keep going. And I did. And it seems like we have finally got everything solved here. But I want to get started right now and get everything rolling. So let's get the server booting up. And I'm going to walk you guys through the install here. And, the first thing that we're going to do is let me pull this up. You're going to go into your browser and you're going to search for TrueNAS Community Edition. And you come here, go about midway down on the page and download the Community Edition. Then you're going to come all the way to the bottom and say, no, thanks, I've already signed up. You have two options here. You have the stable version and then you have the beta version. I always recommend just getting the stable version. I've already downloaded it here, so just download it and get it somewhere where you know where it's at. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come into Balena Etcher and you're going to flash from file, select your ISO. I've already got it burned, but this is where you'd select what thumb drive you want to flash it to, and then just click flash. And then you'll shortly have a boot USB. But now I'm going to come over to our server here. The server's booting up. And it just found all of these SAS drives. And now this is kind of where my initial plan had changed. I was initially planning on using these Samsung SSDs, their NVMEs, as a RAID 1 redundant boot cluster, I guess, and having it to where if something failed on my boot drive, I would be able to, just immediately keep chugging along. However, I come to find out that you cannot use um, your boot drive for your virtual machines. So I have changed plans. I had another 250 gig Samsung SSD laying around, and that's just a standard like SATA SSD. And so I'm going to make that my boot drive. I'm going to make these two I'm going to stripe them. I'm going to do a striped RAID for them with no backup, essentially. Like if one of them fails, I would lose the data. However, I'm going to back it up onto, I'm going to back up both my boot drive and my striped RAID, NVMe RAID to my SAS vault, which is all the SAS drives. So that way, if something does happen, all I have to do is get another drive and I can rapidly fix it. But right now we're going to go ahead and boot off of SanDisk here and start the TrueNAS installation. This is actually pretty straightforward, especially once you've got the hardware issues worked out. It was taking a long time to even remotely boot up when I was having all the hardware issues because it was having to time out and ignore things. But we're going to go ahead and skip past that. Don't forget, stay hydrated. All right. So now we're on the TrueNAS install. We're going to do install upgrade. We're going to select the 850, the SSD, whatever your boot drive is. You're just going to select your boot drive here. And it's going to erase all the partitions. You're going to want to configure through web UI. I mean, that's generally the way to do it. You can have a monitor and head, but I want to make this a headless server and not have it hooked up to HDMI. In my case, I'm going to allow EFI. If you have a lot of older equipment, sometimes you want to disable that, but for the most part, try and leave that enabled. And then if that doesn't work, then go back over to the non-EFI. So I want to talk about some of the problems that I had while doing a lot of this. Initially, I couldn't get my SAS drives to show up at all. They were not showing up in the controller. They were not showing up in the list of disks in TrueNAS. And what I found out is there is a 3.3 volt rail on SATA. And what that does is it causes your SAS drives sometimes, a lot of times, to lock down, and they just won't turn on. They won't spin up. They don't even show that they're there. So what I ended up having to do in my case is I would had to pull the pin off of my modular power supply's octopus cable for SATA. So I had to pull those pins out, and I used a SATA splitter from that point. Once I did that, that fixed the drives and they all booted up. Another issue that I ran into was the drives that I ordered. Oh, one sec here. I'll get into that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and reboot, and I'm going to remove the boot USB. So another issue that I had ran into is that the drives that I ordered came out of Sun and Oracle Sun systems, and they were formatted with what is it called? HFI, I believe, or DIF, sorry, DIF, and that's data integrity field. And what that is it's an extra 8 bits at the end of each sector. So the drive itself is formatted in 512 or 520 byte sectors rather than a 512 byte sector. So I had to go through and I had to format all of the drives, which took a long time. It's like 4 to 6 hours per terabyte per drive. So, but the nice part about it is you can run in parallel. So you just load a tmux up each session, and then just do each drive in each one drive in each session. So that way you can format the drives back to 512. If you have DFI enabled, your pools will not work at all, ever. It's just not going to work. So that was another issue that I had ran into. After that, if you're buying used drives like I did, because I'm trying to do this on the cheap and be cheap about all this, there's a recommended burn-in process where you let the drives burn in and it tests every sector to make sure you don't have any bad sectors or stuck sectors. And you want to also make sure that a lot of people do mention this, but I just wanted to mention it as well. When you buy your HBA, your host bus adapter off of eBay, most likely, you're going to want to make sure that it's already flashed into IT mode. You can do it yourself, but it can be a little bit tedious, and I just recommend spending the few extra dollars and making sure that it's flashed into IT mode. I got the 9400 16i HBA, which you don't have to get that. I got that just because in future, if I ever wanted to add NVMe drives for caching, it supports that right out the gate. And I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about as far as hurdles here. So we're booting up right now, and once I get booted up, we'll go ahead and get the IP address that it gave us, and then we'll go into our browser and start configuring. My goal for this video is I want to get us booted in, and I want to get our pools created. So once we get the pools created, then there's several steps after that, but that's going to be a whole nother video because you have to get your users and permissions and groups created. Then you have to create the actual shares. So that's something that we'll go ahead and do in another video, but I did want to show you the process of actually getting it installed, up and running. And it looks like we're about to get our IP address here. All right, so we're at 192.168.0.96. So we're going to go ahead and pull up our browser. 192.168.0.96. That's the same thing I had on the previous install. And boom. This is our hopefully, come on, let me in. This is our first TrueNAS. This is what it'll look like when you first boot up into TrueNAS. One of the first things I like to do, just because I like doing SSH, is I like to come over here into services. I'm going to start SSH. I'm going to start automatically. And then I'm going to come over here to this little pencil icon, and I'm going to add the TrueNAS admin. And so that way you can go in through SSH if you ever need to do something. You do have a shell here in the system as well, but I prefer SSH. This is completely optional. So let's go ahead and get the storage set up. So we're going to come over here to storage, and we're going to create a pool. I'm going to call this NVMe uh NVMe striped, because I'm just going to stripe this. It's two 256 gigabyte NVMe's, and I'm going to back up all of this data into my SAS vault. So if when I mean, not say if, but when these drives die, I'll have everything backed up into the SAS vault, and I'll just go out and get a new drive. It tells me, Stripe data VDEV is highly discouraged and will result in data loss if it fails. So make sure you do your backups. All right. Everything else is optional. So I just go straight to the end here. This tells me I'm going to have 465 gigabytes, and that's going to be for my VMs that I'll play around with here. So we're going to go ahead and create pool, confirm, and continue. And there we go. We have our first storage pool. So we've got 445 gigabytes here. Got good disk health. You can click on the view disks, and I think it will get the, oh, one sec here. Let's go back to storage here. You can click on view disk reports, and this will do a smart query, I believe, and it'll give you all of the information on the disks. So we're going to come back over here to storage. I want to create another pool. I'm going to call this my SAS vault, because this is going to be the 14 terabyte drives that I got. I'm going to come over here and select my layout as RAID Z2. Now, what RAID Z2 is it will allow 2 of the 4 drives to fail before you suffer data loss. And so I wanted to make sure that I have pretty high redundancy here. The cool part about this, though, is say that you have a 5th drive, you can just expand. So if I get another 5th drive, say whenever I get my, hold on a sec here. This is the bad drive that I had. So say I return this and I want to get another drive. When I get this other drive back, I will be able to add it in and just expand into it, and still gain 14 terabytes worth of storage, but still make it to where 2 drives can fail and I'll still retain all my data. So we're gonna make it 4 wide on the 14 terabytes with one VDEV. We're gonna go back to the review, skip everything else. Like that's more advanced stuff. I eventually will probably dig deep into that, but that's whenever I get my NVMe drive strictly for caching. So we're gonna come over here, create pool, confirm, and continue. And voila, we now have two pools here. I've got my NVMe Stripe and my SAS Vault. So eventually, whenever I get some VMs up and running, I'm going to make a backup every few days, like maybe every week, of my NVMe Striped, and I'm going to put it to my SAS Vault because my SAS Vault has a little bit of redundancy while my NVMe Stripe doesn't. I also want to set my boot drive to backup on the SAS Vault as well. So I'm going to have a data set specifically for backups. I'm going to back up my PC, my NVMe, my boot drive, and probably my wife's PC too, if she wants it. Just so that way I have all the data in the house consolidated down into one area that actually has some redundancy built in. And yeah, I think that's it for the video. Let me know if you guys need any or have any questions or if I missed something, and I'll be more than happy to address it. If I don't know it, I'll research it and address it. But I appreciate y'all for coming here on RaMcHiP's Tech Cave. And yeah, I'm very happy to see where this has gone. I'm still learning my setup here, but I feel like I'm getting a lot better at this. It's coming together nicely. It's going to take some practice. I've got to still edit the NAS build, but that one is a little bit harder, and I'm going to get that put onto the network attached storage and get my proxy workflow set up for DaVinci Resolve, so that way I can get all this working and practice with all the equipment I have. I did put the cart in front of the horse on a few things with the way I wanted to do this, but here we are now, and I finally have a network attached storage that's going to be functioning. My next video is going to be setting up your data sets, your users, uh, permissions, groups, etc. So thanks for visiting RaMcHiP's Tech Cave. Till the next time, see ya.